All right, listeners, welcome back to Java and Joy. I have a very special guest with us today. This guest truly embodies transformation, resilience, and purpose. She is a proud veteran, a health battle survivor, and the inspiring founder of Blissful Life Consulting, where she helps women realign, manifest, and rediscover their unique path to success and fulfillment. She is a true example of what it means to rise, heal, and transform from within. So, listeners, grab your comfy seat, get your beverage to sip, take a deep breath, release the tensions from your body that you're currently holding, and enjoy this time that is just for you. And please help me welcome the radiant and resilient Malaysia Harrell. Welcome, Malaysia, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Karla. I really appreciate it. And I'm just honored to be here with you today.
We are so happy to have you here. This is very exciting. And I
Thank
want to first and foremost wish you a happy belated Veterans Day and thank you for your service.
Oh, thank
Since we're a
you.
couple weeks out from that, but never too late to say that. So I just want to
Thank
start
you.
with that. I know as we were kind of talking about, there are so many things that I would love to ask you about today and to discuss with you. You are a fascinating, busy woman, to say the least. So I tried to narrow down some topics. So I'm just going to kind of jump right in. And I first just want to kind of, break the ice with, can you share a little about like just who you are and what you're about for those who may not know you?
Yes. So again, thank you for this opportunity. And, thank you for the veteran honor as well. I want to honor all our veterans near and far, and their families, because without veterans, we probably would not live the lives that we live today. So I'm so grateful for that. And I am a almost newly, I don't know if I could say newly retired veteran because I've been retired since last May of 2025 or 2024. So maybe I'm a little bit of a veteran now, a real veteran. But yeah, so I have been doing psychotherapy. I'm a psychotherapist. I've been doing it for almost 30 years now. I know I don't look like it.
You do not.
But
You do not.
I appreciate that. And been doing mental health and had a chance to during my tenure, my active duty tenure, do some pretty exciting things. Working for the Surgeon General of the United States. I was the director of addictions medicine for Department of Defense. Was highly, highly, highly decorated. And, I realized in 2020, when I had a near-death experience, that things were not what they seemed. And what I mean by that is on the outside, I looked utterly successful, right? Active duty, '06, captain slash colonel, depending on which service you're in, married, house of our dreams, cars, everything. Until that one day hit where I could no longer take care of myself after deployment and almost transitioned out of here. And at that time, I was really forced to reflect to say, okay, what's really going on? Right? Because I know myself in this very high regard as far as society is concerned, as far as my family is concerned. And it wasn't until then that, when I fell flat on my face physically, mentally and emotionally, that it was like, who is Malaysia truly? And when you wear the uniform, a lot of times you're stripped of that identity, and who you are intrinsically because you need to shape yourself to be mission ready, right? To serve and protect. And so you don't really even know your first name. Most times they call you your rank and your last name. And so you're not able to be who you really are. And it wasn't until then that I had realized that, wow, all the traumas that I experienced as a child were very nicely packed up in this closet organized. I was able to partialize like nobody, right? That life didn't exist. It was gone until it wasn't, until, I could no longer take care of myself. Humility on the 100th power, that I had to reintroduce myself. I had to transform. I was 254 pounds. I had Bell's palsy, sarcoidosis. I was on oral chemo and prednisone. And again, I didn't know if I was going to come back from that. And so what I had to do was really align with my higher power and say, what is your dream for my life? What do you have for me? And of course, use the art of surrender. And once that happened, and now I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I have a mental health and wellness business, Blissful Life Consulting. I also do individual coaching as well, mostly to high achieving women, as you've said, people who are what society deems successful, but they realize that there's something missing. And maybe they're doing what everyone thinks they should be doing and not what their heart and their soul is saying to do. And so I really help them to transform. I've had clients who've, closed down their brick and mortar, and done something completely different. I had one client who closed down her business doing graphic design, and she's doing something completely different now. Not everybody needs to change things, but I think we should always be really taking a pulse to say, who am I now? And does that align with what I've been doing?
Absolutely. I love how you said, you had to honor yourself.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
especially as a woman. And obviously yours is to the extreme, right? Being in military, like you said, almost didn't even know your name anymore. But it made
Right.
me think about how many uniforms, quote unquote, or hats that women wear every single
Yeah,
day, and
every
how
day.
we're such the caregivers, and
Yeah.
we're always go, 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 give, 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 give. And sometimes our body says enough. And
Yes.
we think we're okay, but we're really not okay. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a metaphor, like you said, like learning to honor our body, because at some point it's gonna make you honor it if you don't get ahead of it, right? And like you said, sometimes it's out of our own control. Sometimes there's a higher power there that says, this is not the journey you're supposed to be on. We need
Yeah.
to take a detour. So I love that you mentioned the honoring of your body, because I think so many women can relate to
Yeah.
that all of a sudden feeling like you're just out of gas and you have,
Yeah.
no cups left. They're all empty, so to speak, and we're pouring from nothing. And
Yeah.
like you said, yours is more extreme with, having the military and all that, but it's just a really good lesson, I think, for every woman to hear and to learn, that we can't do it all. We can't do
Mhm.
everything for everyone.
No.
And sometimes we have to take care of number one, and that's
It's
us. And a
so
lot of
true.
times, yeah, a lot of times people say self-care is selfish, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to at some point. Your body's going to make you. So that is just, it's such a powerful journey to hear that. And the fact that you've not only overcome it, lived through it,
Hmm.
but you've turned it into so many positive things. Taking
Hmm.
a turning point like that and a defining moment in your life and paying it forward in a
Yeah.
positive way to help other people. What made you to decide, I mean, like exactly like how you wanted to help? Like, doing the therapy, what are the ways that you just kind of felt that calling?
Yeah. So, well, I was doing therapy, all these years, but transforming and doing the spiritual transformation coaching. One thing I realized early on, because I started my business actually in 2017, but I was still active duty. And I realized that people were coming through, the mental health clinic over and over again from base to base. And I couldn't figure out, I felt like there was something missing when it came to, the mental health space. So yes, we can give you meds. Yes, we could do talk therapy. Now there's so many other holistic options that are available and resources. But I realized that most of the things that we do are based on our conscious level or based on our subconscious level, but our minds are different, right? And so our human minds say, this is the way things need to be, but your subconscious minds believe. So let's just give you an example. Most people who lose weight, I don't know if, for those of you who just watched The Biggest Loser documentary that is on Netflix right now. And so most people, they lose 100 pounds and they gain back 110 or 120. Why is that? Your subconscious mind believes for some reason that you need to be that weight. Maybe it could be trauma. Maybe you've been violated. Maybe, so many things, right? And so your mind says, okay, no, I want to change it. So you'll do it. But because your subconscious mind did not change, you're programmed in there. So that's like having a virus in your computer and you just trying to reboot it and restart it all the time without getting that virus out, without going in there, taking the traumas, you know what I mean? Whatever needs to be done, or maybe even getting a new modem put in, whatever. I don't know the terminology, but you get it, what I'm
Love that.
saying.
I love that comparison because
It's
it
the
just makes
same
really
thing.
good sense. There's something in there that you're going to have to remove. You can't just keep putting
Yes.
band-aids over it.
Yes.
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 I
So
love
once
that
you
comparison.
reprogram your subconscious mind, you do it on that level, then everything else is going to feel free. It's going to flow. You're not going to feel like, because most people who are trying to lose weight, it's hard. I'm trying. But when I aligned and became obedient, you asked me about that. When I became obedient, everything started to flow. The weight just came off. Like you said, many people are doing what they think they have to do. Oh, I have children, I have a family, and I have to contribute. So I have to do this job. And I have to wait until the children graduate. I have to wait until my husband retires or spouse, whatever unit, whatever you want to say, but it's for everyone else. I did this because I need to run the family business because it was passed down, whatever that is, but you're struggling in every area of your life and you can't understand why. So maybe it's not the job, it could be a relationship, it could be people, it could be family members, whatever it is, we need to kind of get to the crux of what that is and then to start decluttering from a spiritual level and your life just changes. You don't feel like you're fighting every day.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
that's so true. And you made a point about this like tomorrow mindset. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start next
Mhm.
week. I'll start next month. I'll start January 1st. I deal with the same thing. I hear it all the time with clients. So it's just ringing those bells with me. I'm like, yeah, I hear that one a lot. Everyone wants to start fresh on Monday, right? And then the
Yeah.
next Monday, and then the next Monday, and before you know it, we're 7 years later, and we haven't done that fresh start. And
Yep.
it is a vicious cycle to be in. And it really does, like you said, it all boils down to the mindset.
Yes.
And for me, and it sounds like you've had the same experience, the biggest challenge that we have is the mindset.
Yeah.
Everything else isn't really that hard.
Yeah.
Changing the mind is
Yeah.
hard. It is very
Yeah.
hard. Would you agree? Do you think that when it boils down to it, that's kind of the biggest challenge you see?
I think that's one of it, but again, it's on a spiritual level. It's not just mental because so you ever been so aligned where you go into environments and you're like, this isn't for me. I got to get out of here.
Oh yeah,
I've driven up to Walmart and I will tell you, Carla, I drove right back home.
been there. Couple
Something
times,
told
just
me,
last week.
something told me
Yeah,
not to do it.
yeah,
But guess what? My mind would say, I just need to go in for 5 minutes, right? I can do this. I've done
right,
hard things.
right.
But no, if you listen to that spiritual intuitive gift that we have to say, don't go. I just went through and it's not like, oh, I've arrived. I'm this spiritual guru. Oh no. I just did something recently. Everything told me not to go to Atlanta. And I went anyway. And what happens? They changed the thing because of the government shutdown. They said we're closing 10% of the flights. Do you know I had to leave that very next morning? Didn't even go down for what I was going down there for. I had dinner with friends and came home. Some told
Wow.
me not to, and they had to
Uh-huh.
pay so much money to change the flight because they could up the price. They upped the prices. I
Yeah.
spent all this money to get back home to be down there for not even 24 hours. So yes, your mind is part of it because our mind is almost like the front part of the battlefield,
Right.
right? You're looking at things on social media. You're looking at, I mean, to keep that mind focused is hard. So even when we're spiritually aligned, you have people saying, "Ooh, here's something for you. Here's some candy," or whatever it is. That's your kryptonite or your
Yeah.
stuff that you don't need. It's
Yeah.
always going, as soon as you start a diet, somebody gonna bring home a pie. That's just how it
Absolutely.
is. So, but when you're spiritually in tune, you're going to feel so strong that even when your mind's saying, yeah, your body won't let you.
Yeah.
You get so in
Yeah.
tune spiritually that your mind won't let you. But that mind is powerful because it's almost like your protector. It's a battlefield out here. And you heard Battlefield in the Mind, Joyce Myers, and all.
Of course.
It is
Right.
fighting every day to keep you safe from whatever you've gone through, whatever you're going to go through. But it's that spiritual intuition that if you just lean into that a little more, even when your mind is saying, nah, look, I know that person's cute, but I know they're not good for me, right? If you feel on a
Right.
spiritual level, when you
Right.
get around them, you're going to feel nauseous. It's not going to even care that they're so beautiful or whatever. You're going to feel sick being around them. So that's the important thing, is to get your mind to align with your spiritual acumen, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and your brain is part of that human experience.
I love that you're saying the spiritual, because I always have referred to it as like my women's intuition, my
Yes,
gut,
that's
my
it.
instinct.
Your
And when
instinct.
you're saying the spiritual, it all just
Yeah.
really makes sense
Yeah.
because yeah, if you can get your instinct to be in control,
Yes.
our basic human instincts that are
Yes.
born into us, your
Mm,
mind's going to adjust accordingly. It's going to
that's
act
right.
based on the instinct. So I love that you're pulling in the spiritual intuition. And you're so right. We are spiritual beings living in a human
Yeah.
life. So
Yeah.
that's exactly. I mean, you kind of nailed it on the head there. And us, especially as women, we have like an extra intuition. I
We
truly believe that.
do.
We have like a survivor instinct like
We do.
no other. And if we could just tune into that and listen to it and stop, like, put it away in a lockbox with a key, like we try
Yeah.
to do all the time, and just
Yeah.
follow it, we'd be
Or
so
or
much
do
better
it
off.
like or do it like, yes, you're so right. So, we don't do it for ourselves, but if you have children and you get this, ooh, my child, something going on, you're gonna stop everything. Oh, I'm
Yes,
in a meeting
yes,
with Howard Schultz. I'm gonna call you right back, Howard. Let me step out and say, you're gonna shut the world down for that child. Do
yes,
that for yourself.
yes. We will go to battle for those that we love, battle to the end, but
Yes.
we will not fight for our own happiness. And again, it ties back like listening and honoring our own bodies, listening to
Yes.
our own intuitions. It's all the same thing. If we honor what our guts are telling us, and
Yeah.
we honor it by practicing self-care, doing things for us when our body
Yes.
says it's right, we
Yeah.
could prevent a whole lot of other things from happening and really become the best versions of ourselves if we
Oh,
just get out of our own way.
mm,
That's, but I think what happens is we drain so much energy on everybody else. There's just not a
yes,
lot left for us,
we
right? We're
do.
tired. So we
Yeah.
have to learn to maybe create some boundaries and some barriers and, those kind of
Yeah.
things to make sure we don't do too much and have something left for us to give, because it's hard to listen to that intuition if you're clinically exhausted.
That's right.
So
That's
again,
right.
I think that you kind of nailed it on the head there, though. Spiritual intuition. I am going to write that
Yes. Your
down. I'm going to
intuition.
repeat that every single day. Listen to
Yep.
your spiritual intuition,
Yes.
ladies. I love
Yes.
that. That is so
Yes.
amazing. Oh my
And you'll
gosh.
feel it when whatever you're trying to do that you're not supposed to do, it'll feel harder once you start delving into that and practice, and just do it with something easy. Again, it was easy. Yeah, I need something from Walmart, but I could actually order online too. Like I'll pay a couple of dollars, but yeah, it's like you get all the way there. I don't want to turn around. But I mean, I've had days where it's like, no, don't go in there. Don't go in there. And I honor that now as much as I can. Like I said, and when I don't, I pay. I pay.
Yeah.
Literally, I pay.
Yeah. 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 For me, it's you're hitting home because me and grocery stores have a not a great relationship. I am one of those people that the grocery store drains me every
Yeah.
single time. So I'm always like, okay, what time of day can I go? Which location should I go to? Which of these scenarios is going to drain me the least? And I try
Yeah.
to plan around that because like you said, there's something that tells you like don't do this. This is just going to
Yeah.
drain you and you don't need that. Like,
Yeah.
like you said, the Walmart can wait or whatever it is, go somewhere
I could
else,
order it. You could order groceries.
Yes,
Maybe
we
you got
have
to
that
pay a
privilege
little
now,
more
right?
to go to Harris
Use those
Teeter or something.
conveniences. Yes, yes. If you can get delivery, do it. That's why Amazon is taking over the world right now. It's
Yeah.
because they're making it more convenient for us not have to do all that. So
Yeah.
I can 100% relate, and I'm sure that so many women can relate to the exact same feeling they get when they pull up
Yeah.
somewhere and they're like feel like they have to take a deep breath and like pump themselves up just to
Yeah.
like you said, just to go in. And maybe that's a sign that maybe you just don't go in. Maybe you don't
Yeah.
pump yourself up and try to talk yourself into it. Maybe you listen and honor yourself, get
Yeah.
back in the car or turn the car back on and drive back home.
And drive back home and just get
Not,
the stuff that you need. Or maybe we start
yes,
going more to the farmers markets and getting food out of there. And everybody's so happy to talk to you at the farmers
yes,
market. Where do you feel honored? When you go to these specific places, there might be certain bookstores or try to go to those. And then for the stuff you absolutely need from those other box stores, go for those. But go to places where you actually have a relationship again. I feel like
yeah,
we're missing that community piece, that we used to have, right? And where everyone knew each other, in that community. And I just feel
yes.
like we're missing a lot of that, and we're feeling a lot more lonely and isolated now. Maybe even due to some of this stuff being so convenient. But we can go to the places where we feel honored.
Absolutely.
The mom and pop
Absolutely.
stores, the
Yes.
international stores,
Yes. They greet you
Yeah.
with a smile, treat you like family, make
Yes.
you don't they don't make you feel like you've inconvenienced them by
Yes.
being there. That's, I get that vibe a lot of places I go now and I'm like, don't you want my patronage? Like,
Yeah.
don't you want me to spend my money here? Because there's a million places I can spend my money.
Right.
We're not, lacking for places for me to
Right.
shop. So it does concern me sometimes when I'm like, what happened to customer service? And like,
Yeah.
like there's not that many places, but there still are some. And I, like you said, mom and pops and small businesses and people that truly appreciate you being there and are going to make
Yeah.
you feel welcome and kind of make you feel like they're giving you a big warm hug, not quite literally, but
Yeah.
when you walk in, you feel warm and fuzzy and like you're welcome there and you kind of feel like it's a home away from home. And I mean, if you're going to spend your time and money places, your hard earned time and money, right? Do it, like you said, in places that serve you and
Yes.
don't feel icky and make you uncomfortable. I mean, that's
Yes.
really, really good advice. It's a really good way to protect your peace. And I know we've been talking about that
Mhm.
a lot with, my podcast and radio show right now with the holidays, protecting your peace. So
Yes.
things like that add up though. I mean, you're just adding joy to your life and removing toxicity at the same
Yeah.
time. So it's
Absolutely.
really good advice to have. And that actually reminds me that I wanted to ask you, like, what advice specifically would you give? Usually I would say for women like 40 and over, especially because I feel like
Mm.
we need them all the advice we could get.
Yes.
What would you give them to like maybe either daily habits or some kind of a mindset shift that to reinvent themselves? Like they're really ready to be like, you know what? Enough's enough. I'm ready to take charge of my life. What would be
Mhm.
like the first couple things that you would want to make sure that you set them up with?
Well, I think it depends on the person. But one of the things I love to do with my clients, I've done this at speaking engagements when I talk with medical providers that I teach. I teach at a university as well. Like I do this meditation called the Perfect Day Meditation, and I guide them through that day. And once they're done, I ask them, for people who want to volunteer, what did you do? Right? And no one ever says I won the lottery. No one ever says I signed that contract. Everyone always says something that they've been longing to do. And so I would encourage people, whether you do something like that, a guided meditation, or, just visualizing like what that is for you and seeing how much of your current life aligns with that. Because typically now there are some people they're living their best life. They retired, they said, I'm gonna move to the beach, I'm gonna move to this community, and they're doing it. But for the most part, we have such significant health conditions and issues because we're not aligned with what that is. And so, one thing that you can start with once you determine what that is, what that day looks like, what your life looks like. Most people say, oh, I want a yacht, I want a car, I want, but as you go through the shift of life, and Dr. Wayne Dyer has a movie called The Shift. And I really love that movie because they talk about how in the beginning of our lives, we do things based on outside success, and, what we do for the second half is more based on alignment and legacy and, what we're giving back to humanity. And so I just encourage people, after you get whatever that vibe is for you, then starting to declutter mentally and physically. So what are the things that are in our lives that do not align with what our dream life looks like? So I'm on two boards right now, board of trustees, and there's people on 10 boards, the head of the school, the children, whatever they call that now. Listen to me, PTO, you the person for everybody and everybody. But it's like you've done it for 3 years now, maybe even 5. Do you have to do all of them now? Can we now move it over to someone else and set the next generation that'll be prepared? And so, with my clients, I normally start with them having one area in their home that they declutter. And you would realize how much the act of decluttering is a spiritual cleanse, right? Of course, the food, all of that, right? But just start with one area, and mostly it's your closet. You have all these clothes from when you were a corporate CEO exec. Now you're retired. Now you work from home half the time. Do you need all that stuff in your closet? What honors you now? And just do the I have Marie Kondo playing her series on Netflix. Yeah. And while I was doing it, and when I was sick, I couldn't do it. So I would just do one drawer, right? So if you have headaches or going through menopause, perimenopause, all these things that people go through, take one small project. It doesn't have to be the whole closet, right? I know Marie gonna tell you to take everything out. That would be there for a year in my bedroom if I took everything out of that closet.
Same, for sure.
We ain't doing it. Do the socks.
Do a
Do your
section,
sock
a
drawer.
category.
Do
Pick
your
a
category.
category of the day.
And it does something to you.
Absolutely.
You get lighter. You got socks you ain't wore in 10 years in that drawer.
Right.
Just start
Yeah,
with
we
your
like to say,
sock
oh,
drawer.
I'll wear it someday. If you haven't worn it in the last year, get rid of it. If
Who
you've been through
wears
4 seasons of
oh
whatever and you haven't used it, you don't need it. That's kind of the
yes.
rule I like to give. 4 seasons
Yes.
and you're out. That's it. That's your, in 4 strikes is being generous, right? It's better than 3. So you get
Yeah.
the 4 seasons, and then if you haven't made the cut, you're not going to get worn. So, not to mention, I mean, at that point, styles are changing. Your size may have changed. Your taste may have changed. Like, you're not going to go back to that. You're not. And if you do, get a fresh one.
Yeah.
You know, that makes
Yeah.
it, yeah, that makes complete sense. And I like how you're kind of saying, you know, the doors, like you can set a boundary or like you said, to declutter. And I like to think of like boundaries as doors. Sometimes we got to close some doors and we got to open some doors. So
Hmm.
we close doors to protect our peace. We open
Yeah.
them to feed our joy.
Yeah.
So by you saying, hey, I'm not going to be on all these boards right now, or I'm not going to do this. And again, it doesn't have to be locked with a key, like forever. Maybe this
Hmm.
door just needs to close right now because you're overwhelmed and you need a break, right? So,
Right.
no doesn't always mean forever, but you've got to learn to close some doors and open fresh doors for yourself. Try something new, try the thing that's been on your list. And I love the mindful meditations. I have personally never done a mindful meditation. The what I give to clients is say, I want you to write down your ideal day. If you had a vacation day and you could do whatever you want with it, write down the day, which is similar to what you're saying. And you're right. The outcomes are usually not what you would think that they would
Yeah.
be. And then I say, okay, so pick some of those things out of that day that you haven't been doing and
Hmm.
start doing them. And then pick
Yeah.
some of those dang things that normally are in your day that you made sure you left out of your ideal day and figure out how you can either eliminate them or delegate them. Because
Hmm.
chances are there's something you can remove or delegate, something
Hmm.
always. And there's always something you can add, right? Like, well, we
Yeah.
got to free up and declutter to have space for the new, right? We can only hold
Yeah.
on to so much stuff, not just physically, but mentally. So if we don't
Yeah.
declutter, we're just no room for the good stuff. So I love that. I'm going to have to try a mindful meditation one of these days because it
Yeah.
sounds
And the reason why it's so important, again, the spiritual part of it, doing the decluttering exercise is a physical manifestation of it. And it's just a practice exercise. Once you start to get rid physically of things that no longer serve your current life or where you're going, the decisions that you start to make on a daily basis will align and it'll get easier because you're already practicing it. So if you have a list and you say, okay, I'll just take these things out, again, it's not subconscious. So you're not, you know what I mean? You may take something out and add something back, right? And so it's this spiritual cleanse. It's a practice exercise. And once you continue to practice it, again, what did I say? 21 days for practicing. But again, if I do my sock drawer here, I do my t-shirt drawer there, and then again, it's like, oh, these things no longer serve me, but you're not thinking of it subconsciously. But because you're practicing it, once you start, oh, somebody's calling me, they want me to do the holiday party this year, right? Something intuitively will say, do I have the capacity for that this year? I did it the past couple years and I usually do it great. Maybe I can consult as opposed to do it, right? And so that's where it's like this. And even with the list, it gives you, some sort of practice again, and that writing things down helps you with your subconscious mind too, right? When you used to speak in school, well, I won't speak for you, but I'm going to speak for me. I will not talk in class 50
oh yeah,
times,
oh yeah. Spend a lot
right?
of time writing that over and over again on a
Right?
chalkboard. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Until your
write the
fingers hurt.
vision, make it plain. So, yeah, those are all really great exercises just to help your mind. You're writing it, write the vision, make it plain. They say the people who write their visions are way more likely to accomplish them than people who don't write them.
Really, that's the steps you have to take
Mhm.
to build that dream life.
Yeah.
And I noticed that it ties into your guide too. And I definitely want to make sure I plug this because you have an amazing free resource guide out there
Mhm.
that is very comprehensive and really informative. And I got a lot out of looking at that called Dream Life Manifested.
Yeah.
And everything you're saying is
That's
like,
my community. That's what my
I
community
I
is
love
called.
that. So I don't know if you want to kind of talk about that guide and who it's for and what it's about a little bit.
Yeah, so the guide is just, again, it really gives you a mini blueprint to just really look at some things in your life, giving you some exercises that allows women who mostly are high achieving women who have been deemed as successful, but who want to get in alignment with their divine assignment. They don't want to struggle through life anymore. They don't want to feel overwhelmed anymore. And maybe they have had some dreams that they've put off, that they haven't, they put off forever. They used to sing, they used to dance, they used to do art, and they loved it. They felt like the world didn't exist. This really is a resource to give you permission to even consider yourself and moving towards that. Because guess what? You think you have tomorrow, but you don't. And it wasn't until I had that near-death experience that I realized that, wow, really life is not promised. And if you want to do it today. How many of us look online and we see someone who has those videos that say, oh, this was before and the after, they're no longer able to walk, they're no longer able to talk. These things happen. And so while you have your energy, do what you would do if when it feels like time does not exist. Just do that. Just keep doing it. And you'll start to get these intuitive nudges to say, oh my God, I really love this. And I love watching when you watch, like, what was it, buying a property in an island or something, and everyone says, we just visited here and we loved it so
We
much.
had to live here.
What? I'm like, yeah. Right? And
Yeah.
so yeah, that blueprint is available on my social media, on Instagram, and I have a couple of, I think, cool resources that are available for people who just want to get started somewhere. And I just love to be able to give back.
And I love that. And just for all our listeners, all of these things that we're talking about, I will make sure they are linked in our show notes,
Oh, thank you.
for sure, because this, I mean, definitely go grab that guide and all the other resources. And speaking of, it looks like you even have more upcoming projects and some
Yes.
goodies on the way for us.
Yes. So I have my book, my premier solo project. I've published in so many, entities, textbooks, all of that stuff, articles. And but my first solo independent project is coming out. God Has My Six. And that is a teaching memoir that talks about, overcoming my near-death experience and also providing the aligned success blueprint for people who want to transform their lives. So, it's not something that's just going to tell, oh, I was sick and, this and that, but actually what are the exact steps that you need to overcome? And the great thing is it's in a book form, so it's accessible to everybody, especially for people who are not able to necessarily hire coaches. I know I needed to hire coaches, and you have clients. I think it's helpful for me, to have someone to shepherd me through that process. But it's just, if you just need somewhere to begin, right? This is that resource for you.
I love that. I am excited for that to come out.
Thank
I will
you.
definitely be getting my copy.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, like I said, there's so many things that you offer out there between guides and books and resources and coaching programs and workshops. And there's just endless things out there. There is something
Yeah.
truly for everybody.
Yeah.
So let us all know. I just want to make sure everybody's very clear where they can find you specifically on social media.
So I'm on most platforms, but Instagram is the primary one, Malaysia H Harrell. And people have now thought the H means like it's spelled Malaysia, like with the H. And no, the H is my middle name, Helene. And they didn't have Malaysia Harrell available. So I put the H in there. And of course, I'm on TikTok, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. I have, a page on there. And I have two websites, MalaysiaHarrell.com, that is for, my coaching, my speaking, and BlissfulLifeConsulting.com, especially if you're wanting to host retreats. We just did a wonderful, beautiful retreat. in Virginia. That was so amazing. So I love hosting retreats. I'm actually going next month to plan the next one, which will be in October of 2026. And that's going to be internationally. So I'm just excited. I'm just excited to have these opportunities, to be
Yeah.
blessed. So
Yeah, like I said, I feel like you're everywhere doing everything. Which is it's just amazing to see how much you really are like giving back and helping other people and paying it forward. And like I said, really turning, some hard things into a positive movement. And I think that that's just absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Oh yes, no, thank you. And I definitely, have to thank you for being here and offering so many wonderful things for everybody and my listeners. I'm sure that my community is just jumping to your social media right now, grabbing all these things. And like I said, everything will be in the show notes. I will make sure of that. And I guess I just want to know if there's any final message that you want to leave with women that might be listening today.
Let's see, a final message. Every time I come on a podcast or a talk show, I'm just like, I have to feel what it is for that day.
Yeah.
And I would say, a lot of times in life, they think, oh, I have to reach self-actualization. You think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Psychology 101. But I would challenge that and do a cognitive reframe and just say, practice the art of becoming. There is no deadline. There is no, oh, I didn't do it, and so a lot of women, we judge ourselves, we're critical of ourselves and we give so much grace to everyone else. But just imagine the highest version of yourself. A lot of us we feel distension because we feel like I'm not her yet. And so what if it's an art? What if I get to practice? What if I get to dress up like her today? Make it something that is so fun, that is like a work of art. You are a piece of art, and just work on becoming the highest version of yourself in every single thing that you do every day. And again, just ask yourself, would she be doing this before you make that decision?
I love that. I love that. Yes. Ask yourself. Take a minute and ask yourself. I love that. And just keep becoming the woman that you want to be. I think
That's
that
right.
is perfect advice
Yeah.
for anybody listening today. Very powerful episode. Thank you so much for this, Malaysia. Malaysia
Thank you
Harrell,
for having me.
look her up, follow her, get involved in all her things. Maybe we'll, be blessed and have her back for another episode. Maybe once we're on the next book, and
Yeah.
whatever's
Look,
to
we need to
come.
do a book. I'm doing virtual book tours too. So,
Oh, well, there we
yeah,
go.
because
We'll have to
now
set that up.
again, I can't do life like the way I did it before, traveling all over the place. You could do a virtual book tour right here. I'd love to, meet your community, and they can get their books and we can have a discussion, like
I
maybe
love it.
bring some different kind of Java and see who has the most exotic
Yes.
Java on
You're
deck.
speaking their language now. You're speaking. It's not just Joy and it's not just Java. It's the combination of the two around here. We love
That's
coffee.
right. That's right.
Some
I
of
just
us do
had
tea,
one.
but
Yeah, I just had one. It was lavender
oh,
Java.
yes,
I went to a
yes.
lavender farm when we did our retreat. So I would love to see who has the most exotic,
I know, right?
mix.
I'm just on the holiday blends right now. Just can't get enough
Yeah.
of all the Christmas and holiday blends. I'm just
Yeah.
buying them off the shelves, putting them in my freezer so I've got them through January, because I gotta have it longer than just 1 month out of the year. I look
That's
forward to it
right.
so much. So yeah, but we love talking coffee. So yeah,
Yes.
that sounds amazing. We'll have to like set up something with a
All
little
right.
chat with Java and your new book, and
Yeah.
that would be absolutely amazing. I'm looking forward to that. So.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you again, Malaysia, so
Thank
much
you,
for
Karla.
joining us. You are very welcome. All right, guys. There's another episode of Java and Joy in the wraps. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that today's conversation really poured joy into your day. And if you love the episode, keep pushing that joy forward. Bring a friend, share this episode with someone who needs a reminder to listen and honor themselves and follow their spiritual intuitions. And
Hmm.
come hang out with me as well on social media. You guys know where I'm at Beauty by Karla Joy, Karla with a K. And everything will be in the show notes for today. If you have any questions, always reach out. But of course, until next time, keep sipping, keep shining, and keep finding your joy. Bye, guys.